Hi, I'm Anu Saniwal.
Hi, I'm Michael O'Hine, and we'll be the host for today's podcast.
Welcome back. For those who don't know, the Scripps Ranch Professional Career Exploration Club is an organization dedicated to interviewing professionals from many different career paths. We aim to help students find a career that's right for them.
And we have a very special guest today. Give a warm welcome to Paetyn Parman. Ms. Parman is a seasonal ocean lifeguard at the city of Salona Beach. She has an Associate of Science for Fire Prevention and Safety Technology from Myanmar. Ms. Parman, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So what skills are essential for any lifeguard to have?
So first and foremost, to be a lifeguard, you got to be a very strong swimmer. As an ocean lifeguard, the standard is 500 meters in under 10 minutes. But again, that's the standard. It's recommended that you have to be a very strong ocean swimmer to even be considered to get this job. Not only that, you have to have very strong interpersonal skills. You're going to be dealing with members of the public every day, and you'll have people who are very nice to you, and you have people who are really want to mess your day up. You're going to have stingray patients who are screaming in pain. You got to be able to deal with that. You have to have medical training and need to be an emergency medical responder at the very minimum. You can also go on to be a emergency medical technician. And also you got to have a lot of ocean knowledge. You got to be able to understand, the dynamics of the ocean, because that's a very, very valuable asset in this career.
So what are the most important traits for a lifeguard to have?
So to be a really good lifeguard, you have to have really intense motivation. You have to be energetic, even when, sometimes you might lose a lot of energy at the day. You have to be moving at 100% all day. You have to have really good intuition. You have to be absorbed of you have to be really aware of your surroundings. You have to know what's going on. You got to be head on a swivel every second. You also have to be considerate of people. In some cases you might be, dealing with people on their worst day, and you really have to, have that sense of consideration when you're dealing with the public. Also, you have to have a sharp sense of awareness, and also, lifeguarding, it may seem like you're just on the beach and chilling out and, hanging out and watching the water, and it's fun. Lifeguarding is a really fun job, but you also have to be very professional. And I think, nowadays, a lot of the departments are starting to move towards, let me start over on that one. So being a lifeguard, you have to have really intense motivation. You have to be energetic 24 the whole day, because you're watching the water and your head is on a swivel. You have to be very intuitive. You have to, be aware of your surroundings at all time. You have to be considerate of others, because you're going to be dealing with people. Sometimes you're going to be dealing with people on their worst day. And you also have to be very professional to be an ocean lifeguard.
So speaking of, how do you maintain focus on all those people that you need to keep track of? Because there's actually this website, it's Spot the Drowning Child. It's actually a thing where there's these videos and you have to spot out of this entire pool or ocean, there's a kid who's struggling, and very few people are able to catch it. So how do you build up the skill set needed to be able to spot those kind of issues?
It can take years of practice. I mean, I've been lifeguarding for 5 years, and there are still times when I'm struggling to watch the water, but the key thing is to know the difference between a good and a bad swimmer. When I'm working out on the ocean, it's a busy day. I'm responsible for a majority of all the people that are in my area. And it's important for me to be able to identify a good swimmer and a bad swimmer. And I can do that by just looking at the mannerisms of people going towards the water. If I see someone running towards the water and their arms are waving and they don't realize that there's a strong rip current pulling right in front of them, I can assume that they don't know what they're going into. But if I'm, on the beach and I see people who are actively swimming around and, they don't seem like they're getting tired, they're not exhibiting any stress at all, then I can kind of, reset my priorities. And another thing to have is be able to know what the big picture is. Again, having that ocean knowledge, knowing where the dangerous areas are. So if you're working on a beach and there's a consistent rip, probably a quarter mile down, you got to make sure that you keep a keen eye on that area, because you really got to anticipate when a rescue is about to happen. If you're watching this area a quarter mile down and you see someone about ready to go out in that rip, you got to really anticipate it and then go make that contact before anything else bad happens. So yeah, pretty much knowing the difference between a good and a bad swimmer, knowing the big picture, and then pretty much being able to act accordingly and anticipate.
So like you said, there are many factors about becoming a lifeguard. So what's the most difficult part about being a lifeguard?
For me, probably the most difficult thing is knowing that bad things can happen within a drop of a hat. And sometimes it can be out of your control. I could work all day scanning, working really hard to make sure that nothing bad happens, but I look away 1 second and then another bad thing can happen right as I'm looking away. So yeah, with this job, it's all very, I want to say it's very complex. It's not definitely black and white. If you're, like, we like to call it 10-8, which means you're just really focused and seems like you're working hard, but sometimes you get tunnel vision and you want to focus on something else for just a solid second, but once you get that tunnel vision, something bad can happen. And it's, you can respond to that and just try to work with it the best of your ability. But when those bad things happen, it kind of seems, you kind of get the sense that you could have changed something. And that's probably one of the scariest things about lifeguarding is, like, you can do the best possible work you can, even in bad situations, but it seems like it's still not enough. That's probably one of the hardest things about working as a lifeguard, like working your butt off, but then, like, when the bad things happen, you feel like you could have done more, even though you've worked to the best of your ability.
And so how to, if the people want to be more like self-dependent and, make sure that you don't have to get involved as frequently, what are some like essential skills that everyone should know about ocean safety?
So being able to recognize a rip current combined with the tide and the swell is really important. You'll hear pretty much every time you go to the beach, ask a lifeguard, ask us what the conditions are like. But it's also important to know the beaches that you're going to. Like, say you want to go to Mission Beach, it's a flat sand beach, right? So with the flat sand bottom, there's always the possibility that a rip current can form through a deep trough that goes out. So being able to recognize the environment that you're in, whether it be a flat sand beach or La Jolla Shores, where the waves crash up against the rocks. Out of nowhere, a rogue wave can come up and just wash you off the rocks. So definitely having a good idea of the type of environment you're in, and being able to recognize that rip current, what it's going to do, and how to escape out of it.
So like you said, lifeguarding is very spontaneous. So how has COVID changed the beach experience?
So it's changed it drastically. Last summer was probably one of the busiest summers we've seen at Solana Beach, just because, going to the beach, it was an escape for a lot of people. I mean, it was an escape for me when all the lockdowns started happening. And, in San Diego last year, majority of people living in other parts of the state, they weren't able to have access to the beach. So a lot of people from even out of the state would come to San Diego and enjoy the beaches. So having that access to the beach during COVID, it's really made a significant strain on our job, just because we have a lot more responsibilities. We have to enforce COVID rules. We have to make sure that everyone on the beach is practicing social distancing. And even like within our department, we have to make sure that we're following the rules by the public health order. It's hard to interact with lifeguards because it's a really, really interpersonal, cooperative career. You want to be able to connect with lifeguards even outside of work, but it's been hard to do that just because of the new COVID rules. But all in all, just going to the beach during this whole COVID thing, it's been quite a whirlwind. I mean, people love going to the beach, and COVID is kind of, I want to say it's increased people's will to go to the beach more often, just because they want to escape from the realities of COVID and they want to have a good time.
So it's obvious that you love the beach. I mean, I can tell just by the way you talk about it. But what are the other reasons that got you into lifeguarding?
So I got into lifeguarding right after high school, and I got talked into it by one of my history teachers. He was a lifeguard over in Encinitas, and I gave it a shot. And that first summer, I just fell in love with the job. It had a great influence on my life. I met so many amazing new people, and it really wanted me to pursue a career in this field. I engaged in advanced activities or advanced training outside of work on my own dime and on my own time. And it's really helped me propel my my career at this point. But to start off, I had no idea what I was going to do after high school. I mean, I was just a surfer, and I know I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to marine biology, go get a degree in marine biology at UCSD. But after that first summer, it's like, no, this is pretty much my calling. It's a great opportunity for students to, you know, have this job in the summer and be able to meet new people and build lasting relationships with other lifeguards, because they also have other careers. And it's also a good way to interact with people. It's one of the best jobs a young person can have, because you're constantly interacting with the public and speaking with people. And being a lifeguard, it looks great on a resume. Like, whether you want to, you know, be a doctor or a lawyer, or if you want to continue lifeguarding, it looks fabulous on a resume. And people are going to see that when you're in another job interview.
So what are the differences between a lifeguard at a pool or at a beach?
So there are actually a lot of similarities, but the key difference is obviously the setting. You're in, I'd say, a bit more of a controlled environment when you're at a pool, but it also depends on the type of pool you're in. If you're just at a pool, like an Olympic-sized swimming pool where people are just swimming laps, you know, it's very different to like the pool you see at Legoland or like at a water park where everyone's just piled in. And like you said on that website, you have a pool with hundreds of people all crowded together, and you have to pick the one that's struggling. But yeah, I think the key difference is just the setting. I'm not going to discredit pool guards, because they have a lot to work with, and it's very different from the beach setting. I worked as a pool guard at the YMCA when I was 16, and you know, it kind of helped me transition to like getting that mindset of being able to look after people. But I feel like the big key difference as far as beach guarding is concerned, that you're in an open environment, you're exposed to the weather, you know, you have to take into precautions as far as like sun, you know, being protected from the sun, from the elements, and you get to deal with a lot of you know, things that the weather throws you, the ocean throws you, because the ocean is dangerous. You know, if you're going out making a rescue in the ocean, you're definitely when you're definitely in a pool, you're not going to have a 6-foot wave coming down. You're not going to have to fight a rip current, you know, trying to swim someone in when you're in the pool. So there's definitely a lot of different dynamics between pool and beach setting in that sense.
So to finish things off, would you mind giving us an elevator pitch on why high school kids should become lifeguards?
How many floors do I got? 1 floor? 3 floors?
Empire State, if you want.
Okay. So yeah, being a lifeguard, it's been a life changer for me. I got started when I was 17, and I've been doing it for 5 years, and I'm looking towards to making this my career. And it's a great job for students just getting out of high school, and if they're looking for something to do in the summer. Like I said, it looks great on resumes, on college applications, and there's a lot of opportunity within it. Being a seasonal guard, you're pretty much guaranteed to come back to work every summer, and you make a good amount of money. And you can also pursue a professional career in lifeguarding. There's a lot of opportunity. You can be a permanent lifeguard. You can work the beach year round if you continue your education and continue getting all these special certifications. You can definitely make a career out of lifeguarding. And it's pretty much, yeah, it's weird to say, but you can be a permanent lifeguard all year round in San Diego, and I think it's one of the best jobs in the world. If you are committed, if you're motivated, if you love being in the ocean, you love caring for people, this is a great job.
So that was such an insightful interview. Ms. Parman shared some incredibly perceptive advice about being a lifeguard. We hope you learned as much as we did. A huge thank you to Ms. Parman for joining us today. We are SRPCEC, and we hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.